Hi, this is Cindy. This is my very first sprouting magazine that I got from Amazon for $1.99. This is the greatest book ever. It's like the complete guide to sprouting. And if you buy a sprouting jar, which I did for $5, this is an easier way to do it because you're rinsing and draining 3 times a day, and this allows for a screen. In this little pamphlet, they have instructions, recipes, and sprouting guide. It gives you the list of things that you can sprout in that jar. The reason why I'm discussing this is because when I did it, I didn't know the difference between sprouting in a jar, sprouting in the garden, and microgreens, which to me it was the same thing as sprouting. And in the sprouting jar, or you can use a mason jar, I've seen people do it in a bowl with a paper towel on the bottom, so it keeps it moist, but you don't want any water to pool. That is the trick to sprouting in a bowl or a jar, or on paper towels. You don't want water to pool, because that creates fungus, a mold. So they'll have alfalfa seed, broccoli, fenugreek, mung beans, radish, red clover, sunflower seeds, wheat. I did wheat. It was really fun. If you're not gluten intolerant. And then they give you recipes, like how to mix those to make them taste like a salad or what have you. Now, this is the thing about sprouting. You'll be like, what am I going to do with them? I mean, it's kind of boring when you think about it. But when you start to taste them, you'll go, these sprouts are really good. I did it because I had, I had so many grains. I had literally pounds and pounds of lentils and chickpeas. So I started off with a lentil because lentils are relatively inexpensive. I'm vegan, organic, and non-GMO, but there's times when you have to cross the line with non-organics because you want to check things out and practice. And so you may not be vegan, but you want to sprout. The trick to sprouting, or as you can see in this picture, it makes it look really super freaky, is that when it sprouts, it gets a little tail on it. And that tail, they can be kept in the refrigerator for 2 weeks after sprouting. Well, you want to soak them overnight. That's one of the keys. You want to rinse them really good, like lentils. Let's just talk about lentils. You want to rinse them very well, and then you want to put them in your jar or your mason jar or your bowl, and you want to soak them overnight. This kind of makes them puff up a little. And then you're going to strain that water off, and you're going to keep them in that jar. Now, I do them at a 90 degree because, see, you have to imagine, this is your jar, and your lentils are here. They're just sitting in water. So you want to tilt it like a lot of women use a dish strainer, and they tilt the jar enough because you're rinsing it 3 times a day. The reason why you do this is you don't want to get mold. You're rinsing constantly so it can sprout, and it needs fresh water. So you do it 3 times a day. It's not hard. I mean, you'll put it in your kitchen. You won't forget. You're looking at it. And then I set it at a 90-degree angle. That way you know there's no pulling. So you give it a nice rinse, and then tip it over with your cheesecloth or sprouting jar or sieve, and then rinse them really good, and then tilt it. That way the water drips out a little bit. That's basically sprouting right there. As long as you have that concept, then there's a guide, because some people think, like, if I sprout a lentil, how long is that going to take? First of all, I want you to know it's very, very nutritious. Once you get the technique down, you're just sprouting all kinds of things. So you want to soak them, you want to rinse them and shower them, and you want to do that 2 or 3 times a day. If you're at work, you can do it in the morning and at night. And there's 3 methods. Some people use a hose, some people just do a gentle stream, and some people actually like swish it, kind of like you would do this cup. That way you know the water is distributing all around the grain or whatever it is that you're sprouting. Well, then I decided I was going to sprout some seeds. That didn't work out so well. So I tried, I just, did it like this. They say you have to use pure water. That is so not true, unless you're living in LA, because I've had LA chlorinated water. Let's just say you want to do a radish. The radish, it's going to take 5 to 6 days. Cabbage is going to take 5 to 6 days. You can buy these sprouting seeds online in bulk at Amazon. It's really inexpensive. Or you just buy lentils, chickpeas, dried chickpeas, and then make a hummus. It's really interesting. Except the only difference is, once they grow those little tails on them, and you'll see them, and you don't want to shake them because you'll knock the little tails off. That's the nutrition. You get that after you dry it and they're ready and they're done. You can mix that and make a hummus. It's really good. You can dry them and make flours. I've seen people do that. I don't think I would do that. There's a double-decker technique. Which seeds? How many tablespoons? So let's just say we were doing this cup. They're going to expand. So you don't want to put that many lentils in there because it'll just over expand. So I did about this many at first, and then the water. The cool thing about it is once they sprout, you taste them. And they don't taste anything like the cooked product. They taste rather, some of them are really sweet. They snap in your mouth. And you can literally just sit and munch on them. And then once they're done, you can store them in the fridge for about 2 weeks. Give them a little rinse every now and then. And they're good to go. You can grab them and just stick them on top of food. A lot of people do that too. I wouldn't. I'm a vegan, so I find really interesting ways to do it. This book was $1.90, and it has all the information that you need and what tastes like what and why we do it and why people use sprouter bags and baskets and how to clean them and wash those seeds. There's so many methods, it's crazy. I just did it in a mason jar. I didn't really care about the sprouting bag. I didn't want to spend the money. And then I got a muslin, and it stunk, so I didn't want to do that. There's soft wheats, there's shelled wheats. This is how you make wheatgrass, by the way. So you'll sprout the wheatgrass, or the wheat berries. I used a hard red winter berry, non-GMO, organic, and I bought 5 pounds for, I think, $10. And I got a couple cups of it and put it in my sprouting jar and tipped it over. And then once it got the little tail, I laid it on a glass Pyrex pan that I had. And I had some paper towels, and I moistened them. And I put all those little sprouts on there and stuck them in the closet. While they're in the closet, you spray them 3 times a day. You don't want to overspray, don't want to underspray. They grew a little yellow sprout. Well, I thought, my gosh, what am I getting into here? You could actually eat those if you wanted to and make a little, I don't know, salsa or whatever it is you want to make. You'll get really creative. And once that started, you can actually stick it in the windowsill and it grows wheatgrass. And you can juice that wheatgrass. Well, what did I do? I juiced the whole tray and drank it in one day. Not a good idea. I was in the bathroom for 2 straight days. Exhausted. I mean, I was in the bathroom all day and night. It was horrible. Because I'm thinking like, a little wheatgrass because they're being cheap or something. No, it really is high powered. So that's how you do wheatgrass. It's so easy. Paper towel, use a Pyrex, use some plastic, don't do metal. So those little lids they give you at the takeout restaurant, like on top, they pop that little, you have like a bowl, and they'll pop that plastic thing on there. That's really cool to sprout wheatgrass in too. Or sprout your lentils or your chickpeas or your fenugreek or radish, sunflower. There is all kinds of things you can do microgreens or sprouting. The only thing to be sure of is be careful with some grains because some things can't be sprouted, like a pinto bean. they're not good for you at all. They're poison. They put off a poisonous emission or something. So things that are sensitivity to temperature, that's another thing too. There's hardy seeds, there's less hardy and very delicate. So like a whole sunflower is delicate. A hardy one would be red radish or mustard. You don't think that mustard tastes good? It's really good. You can also do quinoa. You can buy flaxseed and quinoa for nothing and sprout it and eat it. Quinoa is a form of a carbohydrate and a protein. So, a very simple one. Mung beans, green peas, soybean, azuki, vasilium, turnip, red radish, mustard, kale, chive, fenugreek, red clover, cabbage, alfalfa. But what's interesting to me with microgreens is when you mix all those and put it on soil, you get the best microgreens ever. Well, how do you know which ones you're going to like? Okay, so that became issue 2. Once I sprouted in the jar, yay, groovy, I got this, I made recipes, it was really great. And I put little blobs of it on top of my food, like I have black beans. I eat a lot of black beans or lentils. And I'll pop that on top, put a little bit of vegan blue cheese, good to go. Got all my nutrition, got all my vegetables. Right? So I'm really happy. That's really happiness. Well, then, because I grow a garden, I decided that I was going to do microgreens. And I didn't understand. At the grocery store, literally for a tin like this, but it's plastic, you would pay $8. Well, isn't that just a seed that sprouted? That's what I was thinking in my head, because I'm a gardener, first-year gardener in a grow room. So I was like, why can't I just buy kale seeds and throw them in there and do a microgreen? I found out that microgreen is a fancy word for sprouting. Well, isn't this sprouting? So it didn't make any sense. So I did the wheatgrass. Oh, mega benefit. And it actually went 3 rounds. So once you cut it away from the soil, the paper towel, it grows into the paper towel. So be careful, because I lifted it and it was everywhere. And stuck to the paper towel. And like quinoa. Quinoa is like 141 milligrams of calcium. Wheat, yellow corn, white corn. I mean, they have so many grains in here. It's just ridiculous in this $1.90 book. So with the concept of microgreens, it's a fancy name for sprouts. Why don't they just say that? So I go to the grocery store and I just gotta try these microgreens. I pay $8, $9 for this little tray. And it lasts me all of 2 seconds. And I ate it with one meal and was like, what's the big deal? The thing with microgreens, though, is like just like he has in this picture. See, it's all green, green, green. Microgreens are mega nutritional. They literally, within the first stage of sprouting, they contain more than sometimes 10 pounds of broccoli. So the equivalence of nutrition is not the same as if you bought pounds and pounds of broccoli. If you cut off the little flower, you know, the flowerets or florets, it's like a pound and a half is equivalent to a little bit of microgreens. So a tray of microgreens is like bags and bags and pounds of vegetables. So a lot of people grow microgreens and they sprout because of that reason. They want that high nutrition. And I knew this because I grew a garden. Well, I kind of had the concept of sprouting because I had used this Hawaiian punch bottle and I put little holes in it with a knife and I stuck bulbs in there, garlic cloves, anything that has a bud on it. So like, you know, I call it the butt. So here's the little tiny pointed tip of the garlic and then there's that little hard thing. I cut those off and I stuck them in there, butt side in, up against the soil. I filled the Hawaiian punch bottle after making the holes with soil, and I made holes, and I stuck those in there, and a garlic grew, a sprout, big ones. Sometimes they were up to 12 inches tall. And I kept cutting them and kept eating them. I stir-fried them. I put them in salsa. I ate them fresh. Well, I figured if it did it with garlic, it would do it with an onion. like a green onion cap, you know, the little cap, the little hairy cap. Cut that off, stick it in there. You gotta dry it though. Stick it in there with a garlic clove. You ain't even got to take that paper off. Just stick it in there. And out comes a green thing. That's a sprout. Well, throughout the winter, what are you going to do? Run to the store, buy garlic, buy onion when you can grow it yourself. So get a couple bags of potting soil. I don't use Miracle Grow. I use high quality. It's inexpensive at my organic store, and I love it. I filled the bottle, made the holes, stuck the things in, put water in, put it on the windowsill. Garlic and onion was growing. So then I realized you could put the end caps of the onion, dry them, stick them in the soil. Now you have an onion sprout that you can eat throughout the winter. Now I realize an onion's like this and dense, but I like the trimmings because they're stronger than a regular onion. Then I decided, well, if you could do that, you could do ginger. I did it. So every time I've tried to do something, I succeeded. It just kind of evolved into that. So I just finished my first 2 trays of microgreens, and I cut them, and they are delicious. And I like the savory mix because I wanted to try a couple different ones, see which ones I liked, that tasted the best, and then I was going to buy it in bulk. Well, where do you get it for cheaper? And do I want organic, non-GMO, or do I want to just get a bunch of bulk savory seed? Because it might come to that because I want to go in inexpensively. That might be a way to go. Well, there's tons, and don't buy microgreen seed. Don't do that. Go to a very good source on the internet, like Amazon, and buy 20 feet of microgreen. When it says 20 feet now, that's a lot of feet. Because if you think that's 1 foot, it's 20 of those. That's a lot of microgreens. So you can start with the little tray, maybe this size, and see if you like it. Put it on your windowsill. Some people use drain holes. Some people use matting. Matting's another form of a paper towel. You can buy a bunch of them, though, because when you go to cut them, this is the trick with the mat. If the mat is like this, it's just a paper, and it lays there and it's moist and it kind of has like a cottony top on it. I've seen them. I don't buy them. Then when you lay the seed on there and you put it in the closet, imagine when you lift that mat up, you can just cut. Now when it has soil, you're going to cut, and little pieces of soil are coming with it. I prefer soil. I have a lot of it. That's what I'm using. But I'm probably going to go to the mat form. Does it need drains? That's debatable. Do you take care of it or not? I keep an eye on it. Put my finger in there. Feel around. Once they come from the yellow microgreen to the green, you want to give it a lot more water. The little spray bottle isn't going to work. So I don't like the kits. It comes with a spray bottle and a mat and a tray. You could go to Walmart and get those trays and spend a couple bucks. Get a little bit of soil, a big bag of it if you really want to get real experimental. Get a Hawaiian Punch bottle while you're there. Dump it out. If you drink it, drink it. If not, dump it out like I do. Poke some holes in there. Stick that full of soil. Stick the little butts in there. And you'll have a garlic tower. Vertical. Which means it doesn't take up a lot of space. Then you can sprout. Then you can go into microgreens. Then you can sprout in jars. So if you like the sunflower microgreens, like the way they're showing it here, it's a microgreen. It says sprouts, but it's a microgreen. Then you can buy 5 pounds of the sunflower. And you can buy 5 pounds of the savory because they've already mixed it for you. And there's a couple websites I'm looking at, and Amazon has some. I may use those just temporarily. It's $20. $20. But think about what you spend at the grocery store. It's a lot of money. So when you add up that money, what's better? The sprout or going to the grocery store? Do the math on that. And so I went to Amazon Premier. I'm on Amazon Premier. And I decided that I was going to buy some bulk seed. Now, with that same seed, though, you can grow in your garden. So imagine this. With that seed, you can sprout in a jar. You can microgreen, which is very fulfilling. And you can do towers with all your kitchen scraps. Well, you can look it up on Google. It's really cool. There's a lot of stuff that you can grab that you're cutting off that will make a sprout, and you can eat it throughout the winter and or any other time. So this is the way to go. Now, microgreening has become a very lucrative business. There's one gentleman that has 100,000 trays in a warehouse. The reason why is because of the name microgreen. People buy them at those little organic stores. They're in a plastic tray. They have a label on it, and you buy it. You're spending $8, $9 per tray. They're only this big, that thick, that big, maybe that big. And you're spending $8, $9 on that. So why not farm them? So people have turned it into a lucrative business, including a few of my friends on Google+. They're smart, and they're thinking. So try it for your family. I mean, what's going to happen? Like, is something going to fly off the sky and hit you over the head because you decided to sprout something? I mean, try it. I started growing my own food last year. I got really inexpensive lighting. I grew organically, non-GMO. If you don't know what that is, look it up. And I started getting organic foods, and I noticed the difference in taste. And there is a huge difference in taste. And I don't want my vegetables from Walmart. I really don't. So I grew my own food. And I learned the old styrofoam cup trick from when you're back in the day. You put the seed in the cup, you put it in the sun, and you give it a little water. That's all it needs. A seed wants to grow. A seed wants to sprout. And it wants you to eat it. So eat them, for God's sakes. But just realize when you're talking about sprouting, you're almost talking about microgreening. When you're talking about microgreening, you're talking about gardening. So it's all a level playing field. How it's handled is not that difficult. And when you do your first sprouting, you'll go, oh my gosh, that's really interesting. And then you'll start thinking about it, and then you'll want to do wheatgrass, and then you'll want to juice, and then it'll start getting bigger. I've also learned that when you do wheatgrass, Surrey's going off. When you do wheatgrass, you can put it in your salad. Just a few little granules. I'm on my third round up here with the little bit of berries. I got 5 pounds. It just takes a cup. And you make a whole flat of wheatgrass. Cut a little. Give it water.
Sorry, Cindy. Can you try that again in fewer words?
Surrey. So, this is my discussion on microgreening, sprouting, and how to approach it. Keep it simple, keep it inexpensive, and have fun. And don't think it too much. I also have the links for kefir, kombucha, how to mix them, how to do the first fermentation, what to do with the SCOBY. There's a lot of probiotics here that you can do by yourself and make your health better. We know our healthcare system is really bad. We know that we're getting sicker, and so why not try to feed yourself? It's a great idea. You help your friends. I mean, when I do my garden last year, I must have given away at least 100 plants. I mean, it's one seed. So when you're beginning to sprout, be adventurous and have a good time. So I'm going to post this as a beginning discussion, part 1 of sprouting, microgreening, and what to do with all this. And just take it in and don't just YouTube it. And, the guys that are the simplest, like me, are the better people to go with, or gal. Some people do it really, like, trashy, and there's other people that are so high-end, you can barely conceive it, and you'll buy a kit or whatever. And then, there's somebody like me who's just on a level playing field, and I want you to be happier. I want you to be healthy, and I want you to feel great. And that's what this is about. Be your own doctor. Go back to Eden, if you ever had the book, and learn to heal yourself. And I've lost 55 pounds, and I never had to exercise. And that says a lot about my diet. And it's not because I want to eat salads for the rest of my life. There's so many great foods. There's vegan cupcakes, for God's sakes. They're delicious. There's cream cheese frosting. I mean, there's just so many opportunities here. So kombucha, water kefir, it just goes on and on. Sprouting, microgreens, gardening, it just keeps going up and up and up. And just remember one thing, never be afraid. Always, always keep your mind open, and always believe that you can heal yourself. Now, I have a horrible rash going on. I have no clue what it is. Never had a rash on my face like this before in my life. Probably something I've touched in the garden. It's driving me crazy. But, I'll find a way. I've used Castile, I've used this, that, the other thing, shea butter, this, that. Didn't work. So, you can heal your stomach. You can heal the bad bacteria in your body. You can get through flus. You can get through some of these things that are going on in our country. And you can answer that with great food. The foods that you're getting at stores are not top quality, not even at your organic store. Be realistic. And keep in mind that eating is a way of life. And we do it, and our families can be happy, and they'll love those meals that you make because you're going to keep improving. If you're not a great cook, then you'll learn to be one. And it's all about taste. It's all about what do you want. And I know a lot of vegans that live off of a box of whole wheat pasta with tomato sauce. I mean, I could never eat that way. I need better flavors, richer. I want all these different textures, and I want sweet and sour, crunchy, salty. I want all those things. So I created them. I wish I could post all my recipes. I have so many recipes that I made up here. Do not be afraid. I have dehydrated breads. A lot of you don't have a dehydrator. At Walmart, they're like $30. Start practicing. When you make your own bread, I can't even tell you the nutrition that's in that bread. And you don't have to feel guilty about carbohydrates, and it can taste amazing. Nut cheeses are amazing. Fermented foods are amazing. There's just so many levels of health here. So I didn't want to go longer than 30 minutes. I'm going to post this. I'm not a fancy lady. I think I have the same hoodie on I had 3 days ago. We have a horrible snowstorm going on, and I'm excited. I just made a vegan chili, no recipe. I did it on my own. And it's awesome, awesome food. And I'm excited, and I want you to know that you can make your own food and watch things grow. And there's no greater feeling than planting something or sprouting and seeing it grow and going, wow, you want to live. So do I. So that's my discussion on sprouting and microgreens and how to use vertical gardening for your small spaces, and how to encourage you to continue and to feel better, to get rid of stomach ailments and skin conditions and weight problems and bloating and pain and IBS. I mean, there's so many illnesses, and we can start one step at a time. So be encouraged and know that you too can do these things, and you have the power to do them, and they're not expensive. So I want all of you to feel encouraged, be happy, leave your comments, and I'll answer them. I know I don't have a fancy YouTube, but many of you come to my YouTube, and I don't know what it is, probably just because I'm real. And I like to have fun, I like to laugh. And there's definitely times I cry too. So it's just life, and we're doing it, and we're taking back the power to eat and getting nutrition. Everybody have fun, and like I said, if you have any questions, just post them down below, and I'll get back in touch with you. Happy sprouting or microgreen.